Can you afford to retire? Hi, this is Tim. Welcome to All Affiliate Cash. Here's some interesting information from a recent letter that the AARP sent out to members. I found it not only very true, but very troubling. As those of you who follow this channel will already know, I'm 65 years old with a successful career in high tech, and I cannot afford to retire. I have some friends who retired early, and they ran into the exact problems that the AARP describes in their letter. I thought I would share some of this with you now. There are a couple of different groups of people nearing retirement. The first is a group who love their job, have had a great career, and don't want to leave it. These people are sometimes asked to retire or are incentivized by their company to leave, as they are highly paid and often not seen as the next generation of idea generators and new thinkers. Though this group can also be very effective mentors, more often than not, they are allocated to fewer and fewer important tasks until it comes time for them to finally take their leave. Then there are those who cannot wait to get out of their current job. Either they hate it or want the freedom of retirement so badly that they do everything they can to exit early. Both of these groups face issues, and not the least of these is the longevity of life in this century and the fact that we are living much longer on the average than our parents did. When you take the high debt of most Americans into consideration, the fact that only 11% of Americans plan to retire before age 65 is telling. In point of fact, most who do retire at age 65 are forced to start another job when they realize the $150,000 a year they need to stay afloat is not in the cards they were dealt. Here are some of the issues that the AARP defined in their letter. First, healthcare is expensive. If you retire before you are eligible for Medicare, these costs are going to be 100% borne by you. This can be several $1,000s a year for just a mid-level, high-deductible plan. Once Medicare kicks in, a supplement plan is almost always needed to fill in the gaps that Medicare does not cover, and most people never consider this in the cost of retirement. Second, tapping into your IRA or 401k early can be costly. These tax-deferred plans can be accessed before age 60. However, you will generally have to pay a 10% early withdrawal penalty. Since you will also be taxed at your current tax bracket, plus early withdrawal penalties, be very careful how you tap your retirement savings and always consult an accountant before making plans to access these funds to avoid stiff penalties. Remember that $150,000 a year number I talked about earlier? This is actually low for many people in today's high debt world, so you need to be very aware of what your actual expenses are going to be before you call it quits on your 9 to 5. When you start to tap your retirement savings, you immediately lose the power of compounding interest. This is a two-edged sword, however. If you started saving $250 a month from age 25 to age 55, you will have about $240,000 in savings. If you have not touched any of this and keep working until age 65, you will have about $460,000 in savings. These numbers assume inflation does not kill the interest rate you are earning today. How long do you think you will live after you retire? How far will this money plus your Social Security take you? Someone who retires at age 55 will have to make their savings last an average of 28 more years. At $150,000 a year, this amounts to $4,200,000. For couples who retire at age 65, there's a 25% chance that one of you will live to be 98. Go back again and look at those savings accounts. They don't look very healthy now, when you consider you could need an additional income for 34 years after retirement in order to live anything above the poverty level. At that $150,000 a year level, those 34 years will cost you $5,100,000. Next on the AARP's list, you will spend much more than you think in retirement. Typically, the data shows people spend 80% of what they spent pre-retirement after they retire. This means you will exhaust that 401k or IRA savings much faster than you currently believe, and since you will want to actually do things in retirement, you may in fact spend more in retirement than before you left your job. A study by J.P. Morgan found that there tends to be a significant spending surge for new retirees that can quickly deplete a savings account. In addition, the current high debt culture carries on through retirement today, meaning very few, if any, are prepared financially to stop working. With inflation today at more than 8%, you may need to seriously rethink your spending going forward and start to live an austere lifestyle sooner than you think. When you retire, every day is Saturday, and this poses some interesting spending problems. For working couples, Saturday is the most expensive shopping day of the week. After you retire, you have a year full of Saturdays, and all those projects and plans you put aside will suddenly take priority, along with the spending that comes with each of them. Next is the cost of housing. Housing expenses don't stop when you retire, and today more than 75% of all retirees still have a mortgage when they retire. 44% of retired homeowners after age 65 still have a mortgage, and that number is going up every year. In addition, property taxes don't stop, and home maintenance will run you an average of 1% of the home's value every year. For a $350,000 home, this is $3,500 a year in expenses even after you no longer have a mortgage. If you wait until you are too old to be effective in the workforce, extra income in retirement can be very hard to come by. You may be saddled with a sliding window job asking, "Do you want fries with that?" or the front door greeter job at the local Walmart or Target. Yes, you retired, but because you did not have enough cash flow to meet your expenses in retirement, you are now forced to work at a menial, minimum wage job just to be able to cover your monthly expenses. What happened to that dream of traveling the world and spending time with your family? You did not prepare well enough to meet those goals, and now you are paying the price. In 2021, 74% of all retirees reported they plan to work for pay in retirement. Social Security is also a moving target, and the politicians continue to talk about means testing as a way to limit benefits. If you were diligent in savings and have that $500,000 nest egg, you may find your full benefits will be taxed more heavily or restricted in the not-too-distant future. While you were hard at work, the politicians raised the age to 67 for full Social Security benefits for anyone born after 1960. If you claim benefits sooner than that, your full benefit will be reduced by 30% when you are eligible. Here are the key questions to ask yourself about retirement right from the AARP article. Can I really afford to stop working? Do I need to get a part-time job to make ends meet? How will I afford health insurance? What will I do to occupy my time? Are my plans in sync with my spouse or partner? Here's another unanswered issue that many find hard to address when they really think about it. When you were working, you spent a minimum of 40 hours a week at work, and when you add in travel and overtime, most people spend closer to 60 hours a week working for at least 40 years. Now what? How will you fill that gap? How many long walks can you take? How many books can you read? You cannot simply afford to spend money doing the things you've been putting off for 40 years, as we've already outlined. When the novelty of having nothing to do every day wears off, what exactly will you do in retirement, and how will you pay for it? Another unexpected consequence of retirement is you may need to make new friends. As your current base of friends, either through work or other social circles, are not likely going to retire and join you in your leisure activities, who will you hang with? Yes, you have the luxury of playing a round of golf in the middle of the afternoon in the week, when everyone you know is at work. But with whom will you play? Retirees typically make friends with people who are older than they are, and as such end up with a completely new social circle and set of activities than when they were working. Now, this is not necessarily a bad thing, but if you make friends with some difficulty, this can be very stressful on your relationship with your partner or spouse. Retirement in general can be hard on couples. If you both retire together, then you both face the challenges above, and your finances can be drained even more quickly than if retirement is staggered. If you do not retire at the same time, then how will the chores around the house be divided? Will the first person to retire do all the chores while the second person is still working? What about if you get a part-time job? How are you going to deal with the financial issues that will come up and the priorities for spending that are bound to get between the two of you? A surprising number of divorces now happen after age 50, and an even more surprising number happen after age 65. And this is a direct reflection of the difficulties that can impact couples in retirement. Now, I did not go into all of these things just to frighten you into staying with your 9-to-5 job until you can no longer stand working into your 70s or beyond. The reason this article hit home with me is it described me perfectly. I have a high amount of debt, and although I've reached age 65, I can't even remotely think about retiring and maintaining anything similar to the lifestyle I live today. I would have to sell my home and rent a small apartment. I would likely live at the poverty level with a significant amount of debt sitting over my head for the next 15 years. I took action to address my financial situation months ago, and what has happened already is encouraging, if not shocking. I started online marketing, and I found that this will definitely allow me to clear up $500,000 in debt and put me in a situation to retire in just a few short years. My savings and Social Security will be more than enough once this is accomplished. However, this side hustle will continue for as long as I want, as this is my business and runs on my schedule. I've discovered there are multiple income streams possible, in fact, already happening, and I will be able to keep these income streams coming in as passive income while I'm traveling the world, visiting with family, and doing all those things that I've dreamed about in retirement. My only regret is that I did not find this 10 years ago, so I could be living that life today. I'm still healthy and in a loving relationship with many years ahead of me. I know now that I will be able to afford to live as I deserve and enjoy my golden years. If this sounds like something that might interest you, please reach out to me. You can follow the link in the description to see what program inspired me and set me on the path to financial success. I'm here for any questions you may have. Just reach out through the comments or private message me, and I'll be more than happy to answer all of your questions. Thanks for tuning in today. Please share this with someone who will benefit as well. Until next time, life is good.